Seoul, the world is not ready. Even the army itself has not fully processed what is happening. The South Korean media today exploded with a piece of news that shook the entire foundation of the entertainment industry, a name that is again called with a tone full of mystery, excitement, as well as concern: Jungkook. After so many months immersed in silence after serving his mandatory military service, now he is said to be doing something that is far beyond anyone's expectations. A comeback, he said. It's no ordinary comeback. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, has always been known for his silence that does not mean surrender, but full of strategy. He is not the type of artist who just appears just to maintain existence. His every step was always calculating, and when he finally chose to speak, or even just appear at a glance, the whole world instantly turned its head. Today, the rumors are no longer just speculation of longing fans. This is no longer just gossip from a small fan base on Twitter. This is a signal from within. Signals coming from people in the industry, from sources that cannot be taken lightly. They all say one thing in common: Jungkook is coming back. However, this is not a predictable comeback. Not even by ARMY, who have followed in his every footsteps since his debut in 2013, which makes it more controversial. Sources within HYB themselves seem to be showing signs that this comeback isn't just a solo, but most likely a move that leads to a structural split within BTS's own body. One of the agency's top brass, whose name we cannot name for internal information security reasons, mentioned that Jungkook had rejected several of the group's comeback scenarios and opted for a path that was bolder, more personal, and maybe very political. This is horrendous. Because if it is true, then Jungkook's decision could be the catalyst for all the tension that has been kept neatly behind the magnificent stage of BTS and HYB's full strength. What is more surprising? The same source mentioned that Jungkook will release a solo album with a theme that is very far from BTS's previous identity. Darker music, more personal lyrics, more wild visuals, and a very unexpected collaboration. One of them is mentioned to be an American female pop singer who was once rumored to be close to him personally. Wait a minute. This is not all. The first hint came from a vague post on his official Instagram account last week, in which Jungkook uploaded a close-up of the eye with the caption, "Look deeper." Nobody understood what he meant at the time. But after this news surfaced, netizens began to relate to it as a signal that he was preparing for something big, and not just any project. The photo is said to be part of the album's concept of duality of self, something that will be a major issue in his comeback, dissecting him as a celebrity and as an ordinary human being who has been buried in the expectations of the world. Another surprise came from its production house in the Itaewon area, where intense activity was reported over the past 3 weeks. Production cars, recording equipment were brought in at night, and several foreign producers were seen going in and out without greeting anyone. Local sources even mentioned that one of the rooms in the house has been turned into a private studio that has the highest level of soundproofing in Seoul. Jungkook, it seems, is not kidding. And now there is speculation that Jungkook's comeback will be a form of personal political statement against the K-pop industry, which according to some reports has curbed his freedom as an artist. Several snippets of lyrics were leaked, and one line made netizens almost hysterical: "This crown burns heavier than you know." The sentence was seen as an allusion to his status as the king of K-pop, which has been a burden, not an honor. How did HYB react? Very ambiguous. There is no official clarification. Even more suspicious silence. There is no teaser campaign as usual. There was no launch announcement. There is no countdown. Everything is silent. But precisely because of this, fans are more and more convinced that the storm is coming soon. And this storm is not a light rain full of flowers. It's a typhoon that could destroy or reshape the map of the Korean music industry, or even the world. Of course, with a name as big as Jungkook's, the consequences of a comeback like this are huge. If he succeeds, then he will set a new standard for post-group solo artists. If it fails, then this could be the moment of the collapse of the perfect image that BTS and HYB have built over the years. The risk was too great, but it was precisely there that his courage was tested. Not a few have called this comeback a veiled defiance. They said that Jungkook deliberately avoided HYB's interference too far in order to be able to express himself more freely. Rumors also circulated that he was hiring a personal creative team, which did not come from HYB or its subsidiaries. In fact, there are whispers that he turned down some internal producer suggestions and chose to produce most of his own songs. One of his music colleagues, who did not want to be named, said, "You've never heard Jungkook's voice like this before. It's not about high vocals or perfect pitch. It's about raw feelings, about the pain, about brutal honesty that's no match for an industry as sweet as K-pop. Is this really the beginning of the revolution? Or is it precisely the beginning of the collapse? Armies around the world have already begun to speculate. The hashtag Jungkook comeback is already trending #1 in more than 60 countries. But the most striking thing is, none of the other BTS members gave open support. No retweets. There is no like. No comment. Silence. And for many longtime fans, this silence hurts more than anything. Is this a sign that their internal relationship is deteriorating? Is it Jungkook's personal decision to walk alone? Or is it a massive strategy that even the other members have to pretend not to know? Many want the answer. But until now, everything is still tightly closed. Meanwhile, the media began to ferret out the past. They try to look for small traces of a possible internal conflict that once occurred. Some have even reposted Jungkook's old interview, in which he once said, "I want to be free one day. Not always wearing a uniform. Not always having to say, we are. Sometimes I want to say me too." In the past, the sentence was just considered an ordinary expression. But today, that sentence feels like a prophecy. For many, Jungkook's comeback isn't just about the music. It's about identity, about who he is when all the lights are off, about how he wants to be remembered as part of something big, or as someone who dares to go against the grain. And maybe that's what makes this comeback so electrifying, because it's more than just music. This is rebellion in an art form. It is a call of the soul that can no longer be silenced by promotional schedules, by agency-defined concepts, or by insatiable public expectations. What will happen after this? Nobody knows. But one thing is certain, the world is holding its breath. ARMY was crying in a mixture of pride and fear. HYB is considering his next move. And Jungkook? He's getting ready to hit the blast button. And when that happens, you'll know why this news isn't just a comeback, but a declaration of war. And when that button is pressed, whether in the form of music, a music video, an interview, or just one simple sentence he utters in front of the camera, the world will know that Jungkook is not back as an ordinary idol. He did not return as a sweet boy from Busan who once shyly started his career at the age of 15. He returned as an artist, as a grown man who's been through storms, wounds, love, loss, pressure, and betrayal that only those who've stood on top of the world can understand and feel how cold the top is. In silence, the rumors went wild. Some say that Jungkook's comeback this time will also reveal something that has been hidden, not just about the music industry, but about his own life, about identity, about an undisclosed love story, about the internal pressure that formed a permanent wound behind his smile. Is this just wild speculation?